I was watching a video by Professor Anton yesterday about YouTube. Actually, I'll probably post this as a response to you, Corey, so you're probably watching this. Yeah, it's about YouTube and the kind of knowledge that circulates on YouTube as opposed to the kind of knowledge that is gathered by sitting down and reading a book, and how YouTube knowledge tends to be relatively superficial, pretty ad hoc, pretty improvised, made up on the spot, ill supported, and generally pretty mediocre. I mean, you didn't use the word mediocre. I'm choosing to use it now, and I'm going to try and rescue it in a minute. I'll give it a go at least. Pretty mediocre knowledge, as opposed to, as I say, the kind of knowledge that one would gain by, dedicating oneself to a course of study, in which, close readings of text, small seminar groups of students working with a professor to, to really penetrate that knowledge and gather it in a much more kind of conciliant way, really. And I can completely see where you're coming from with that. But at the same time, I have a great affection for mediocrity, which sounds a bit anathema given that I'm in the university industry myself. But my approach to that really comes from what I suspect is a particularly British condition. It might not be, but I think it is. I mean, certainly British universities are much more competitive than they used to be. Post 1992, when there was a big kind of reform of the British university system, lots and lots of new universities have come on stream that used to be kind of technical colleges, what they call polytechnics, and so there's dozens and hundreds really of new universities, all competing for students, all with these what they call widening participation agendas, which means getting people from non-traditional backgrounds into the university system. Lots of that sort of stuff going on, and that's reflected in a lot of the advertising that goes around universities. Because given that all these small former colleges are now competing for students, they all compete. They've all got marketing departments now to try to say they're the best place for this limited number of potential students to go to. But one of the things that always comes through with that, which I always find really irritating, I have to say, is the foregrounding of excellence. Excellent. This word excellence actually is dominant. Every university says that it's committed to excellence. Every university flags the excellence of its students, and usually uses a few students as exemplars of that excellence. So you'll have some case studies on a website about this student who went into this profession, this student who graduated with this kind of honours and made this kind of a success of their life. It's full of that kind of excellence talk. And I have to say, and I probably shouldn't say this given that it's this business that I'm in, a lot of it is crap really. A lot of it is just bullshit. And in fact, I think there was a study done about a year and a half ago analysing the websites of universities in Britain and their use of the word excellent, because it was such a buzzword. And those universities which made greatest use of the word excellent or excellence tended to be inversely correlate with their ratings in things like national benchmarking figures and research outputs, those kind of things. So that's quite interesting. But this whole idea of excellence and the idea of pointing to one or two students who are excellent and have achieved excellence, it seems like a bit of a sham really. Because certainly from my experience of teaching students, and you might have a very different one in the US system, I don't know, is that yes, of course you get some excellent students. They come in with straight A's and they just fly through university courses and graduate and go on to do masters and PhDs or go into public life, and they're just fantastic. But quite honestly, those students would do fantastic wherever you put them really, for the most part. They could go to any university and they'd fly. They could sit at home in front of a TV for 3 years and they'd probably do really well. They're just really smart kids. And that's not meant to be pejorative of either them or the university systems. It's just that excellent students tend to make excellent graduates. Quite easily really. So the focusing on those people just seems like a bit of a sham, as I say. I'm personally much more interested in the vast body of students, which I'm choosing to think of as mediocre, even though I know it's a pejorative term and it's got all kind of negative connotations. And I'm choosing to see that as a label to wear with pride. That this great clump of students who do benefit from a little bit of a push, benefit from just being in an environment, and knowledge communities I think of it, where these knowledge practices could go on, where they can do a bit of reading, where they can talk aloud about the things they know, put things into their own words, share knowledge between one another, and genuinely gain something from the experience that they could not have gained by spending 3 years in front of the TV, and possibly could not have gained at any other institution apart from the ones that really focus on valuing mediocrity and as I say, wearing it as a badge with pride. How this relates to your video, this is probably a really shambling way around to get around to the point. But how it relates to your video, Corey, is in relation to YouTube. I mean, yeah, there are I mean, a lot of the universities do put their lectures online. You know, you can see Columbia and Stanford, is it called? Yeah, and one or two others. And they've got some fantastic formal lectures by formal academics doing formal stuff. But a lot of it is mediocre. A lot of the other stuff, a lot of the philosophy and science and psychology and ideas that are bandied around on YouTube is mediocre. But personally, I think mediocre in the best possible way. It's this vast tranche of people. As I say, I'm not talking about Annoying Orange, and I'm not talking about Shane Dawson. I'm talking about the people having a go. Are doing some really interesting things. It's not about breaking new ground and being excellent. It's about contributing to the great pool of fantastic mediocrity, which I'm just really proud to be a part of, actually. Anyway, I hope that makes sense.